Today, we heard Minister Tito Mboweni, the Minister of Finance, deliver the mouthful that we call the medium-term budget policy statement. Firstly, perhaps give us an overview of what this medium-term budget policy statement is. Is it a new budget? Where does it fit into the budgetary, communication from the government?
Well, it's halfway through the government sort of business year. It's an update on what the government thinks its financial position looks like. This year, particularly significant given the effects that the lockdown had on the country's economy. And the minister said a number of things, none of them very encouraging. I'll take you very quickly into some of the numbers, get us all on the same page. He anticipates the economy this year contracting a negative growth rate of 7.8%. He sees it coming back to positive growth next year, 3.3%. Don't mistake that for a recovery, though. It's not a recovery. It's simply the low base effect. The very deep contraction of this year creates the illusion of a strong recovery next year, 3.3. He then sees the growth rate falling back to 1.7% in 2022, and then he sees it slipping further to just 1.5% in 2023. And that's very significant and important because it's expected that emerging markets will recover over the same period sufficiently to go back to the growth averages that they've maintained for much of the past decade. And that means that we expect emerging markets in the sort of window between 2021 and 2023 to again average growth rates of around 5% of the economic growth rates. And therefore, it is the ambition or target of the South African government, its growth rate of 1.5%, to grow at around a third of the rate of its peers around the world. And I'll say one more thing and then I'll stop for you, Herman. The Treasury's 3-year growth forecasts have over the past decade been off or wrong by a measure, a degree, a margin of around 50%. And that's been a pretty good rule of thumb. And therefore, if that rule holds true, and I think it's going to, with the risk, in fact, to the downside, the likelihood is that by 2021, 2022, 2023, or 2022, 2023, next year will be about 3%. 2022, 2023, what is likely to happen is the South African economy might, as a best case, be growing probably at somewhere between 0 and 1%. So at 10 to 20% of the rate that emerging markets around the world are likely to average. And this is the ambition now of the South African government.